Well, today is the first official day, you might say, of the campaign for The Voice. It'll be 6 weeks until Australians get to vote on that referendum, I should say, on October 14. Today, the Yes campaign is focusing on Liberals, getting Liberals across the line in Liberal seats. And joining me now is Matt Keane, who is campaigning for Yes in Sydney, in his local area, in fact, and he joins us now. Matt Keane, thanks so much for your time. Have you got a big job to do there? Do you have to convince a lot of your constituents to see your point of view?
Well, not judging by the response this morning, Laura, the feeling was overwhelming. There was a lot of energy. People were out. They wanted more information. They wanted to see what they could do to help build a stronger country. And they know that voting yes will help do that. Right now, we're seeing a situation in Australia where Indigenous people, their life expectancy is 8 years less than the rest of the nation. We see the unemployment rate for Indigenous Australians as 10 times higher than the rest of Australia. We see 1 in 5 Indigenous Australians living without proper sanitation or even having basic things like a kitchen in their home. And the sad statistic is that an Aboriginal boy today is more likely to go to prison than go to university. So for those people arguing that this will create a new class of Australians, well, I'd say that we already have 2 classes of Australians. We need to have 1 class of Australians and close that gap. And I think voting yes in this referendum will do exactly that.
What gives you that confidence? Because the no camp says that there's a lot of unknowns here, and they're right, aren't they?
Well, they're not right. They're not right at all. What we do know, the great unknown is, my concern is not that the country changes because we vote yes. My concern is that we don't change, that we continue to see life expectancy for Indigenous Australians more equivalent to someone living in Libya than living in Australia, that we continue to see Indigenous Australians not enjoying the same great opportunities that this country has to offer. We've got to fix that, and voting yes will help achieve that. It's a modest proposal. All it is an advisory body to the Parliament, advising the Parliament on matters that impact Indigenous Australians. When I was the Minister for Fair Trading, I consulted with businesses when making decisions. When I was the Treasurer, I consulted with the Business Council of Australia. I consulted with stakeholders. That's how you make better decisions. This is a consultative body, and it will help the Parliament make better decisions when it comes to the issues that affect Indigenous Australians.
All right, let's talk energy if we can, because there is a stern warning from AEMO at the moment that this is going to be a pretty bad summer for blackouts and power supply shortages. Have you ever seen AEMO use such strong words?
Well, it cites that that's the case in South Australia and Victoria. It also cites that New South Wales has enough capacity in the system. It also cites that if New South Wales gets on with building out the new generation, that it will be facilitated by the electricity infrastructure roadmap, then we'll be able to ensure that we meet all the reliability standards.
But not by this summer.
So again, AEMO... Well, that relates to South Australia and Victoria. Those governments should explain what they're going to do to keep the lights on for those communities. But in New South Wales, we left the system in good shape. We left a plan to build more capacity that will make the system more resilient and be able to deal with those difficult events. Obviously, we need to get on with building new generation into the system, and that's what we've got a plan in New South Wales to do. And the new government needs to get on with the job of delivering that new generation, storage, firming and transmission that will ensure that we're able to meet our energy needs now and into the future.
Okay, so I just want to pick you up on the fact that you left the state in pretty good shape when it comes to energy. 2 quotes, if you will. Extending the life of the Eraring coal plant would help avoid blackouts. That's from AEMO. Also, Chris Bowen has just released a statement confirming that the cost blowout for Snowy Hydro 2.0 is now $12 billion.
Well, let's be very clear. AEMO, in their statement of opportunities today, have said that New South Wales' plan to build new generation into the system is exactly what's needed.
Not for this summer, though, Mr Keane. Not for this summer. Extending the life of the Eraring coal plant will help avoid blackouts. Should that be done?
Laura, Laura, Eraring will be running this summer, so that's actually not correct. Extending Eraring is referring to future summers. We're talking about this summer, Laura, and this summer, New South Wales, the AEMO themselves, the system operator, have said there's enough capacity in the system for New South Wales to meet its needs. They've referred to problems in Victoria and South Australia, and it's up to those governments to speak to what plans they've put in place to deal with those challenges.
Is the East Coast grid not connected?
The East Coast grid is absolutely connected. AEMO have very clearly said that New South Wales has enough capacity in the system to meet the challenges that it will face this system. Obviously, there could be one-off events that the system will need to respond to, but I'm confident, based on AEMO's report today, that we have put in place the plans that will be able to weather the storms that come this season. However, into the future, we know what we need to do, and that's build new capacity. New capacity into the system will make the system more resilient, and that will make it more reliable and also drive down bills for households across New South Wales.
There's no chance
that's the plan that I put in place.
There's just no chance that the electricity prices are coming down anytime soon. How can you say that when Snowy Hydro is going to cost $12 billion?
Laura, it's basic economics. You build more generation, you put more supply into the system.
So when are those prices going to come down then?
And we've got a plan to do that. Well, when you build the new supply, Laura, and what this current Minns government needs to do is stop having reviews and get on with actually delivering on the new infrastructure that's needed to put that downward pressure on prices. With regard to Snowy 2.0, obviously it's a huge piece of work. There's a lot of delivery risk around it, and we're seeing it being smashed by supply chain challenges, labour shortages and a number of factors which have had an impact on cost. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. We need to get on with building that new infrastructure so that we can keep the system reliable and we can put downward pressure on prices, Laura.
It's hard to see how Snowy Hydro is worth it at the moment. I mean, they can't get enough gas for their peaking plants. They've had to use diesel generators. Now it's costing $12 billion. I mean, is it really worth it?
Well, I think building new capacity into the system is absolutely worth it. AEMO, the system operator, have said the cheapest way to ensure that we get reliable and affordable electricity is to build new renewables with storage, with firming. That means Snowy 2.0 is a vital piece of that. AEMO have factored that into the cost of modernising our electricity system, and they continue to maintain that's the cheapest way to deliver electricity into the future.
OK, we will be hearing from AEMO in about an hour's time. Matt Keane, good to talk to you this morning. Thanks so much.